Hey, this is Vashti Devine, intuitive naturopath and clinical director of Wellness Advice Now. I've been having lots of talks with people over the last year or so, but this comes up in clinical practice all of the time, but in particular, given the climate over the last 2 years with pandemics and whatnot, where people feel that their health choices have been taken away from them, or that that they don't have a choice, or they've been disempowered in some way, that they're being told that they need to have certain health treatments that they don't believe are necessary, and it's really, really upsetting to them. This happens this is not new, okay? This doesn't happen just around times of pandemics and chats about vaccine. This happens whether we're whether we're having a baby and going into a childbirth experience and having to decide and be empowered to advocate for our own choices during labour, or if we've been given a chronic disease diagnosis, cancer or some autoimmune disease, and deciding which specialist we want to work with and what the right treatments for us are. Or maybe we have a child that's got a learning and behavioural disorder, something like autism or ADHD, and the school's been telling us that we need to make certain decisions around our child's health that maybe don't fit our core values, and it's very overwhelming and confusing. And I want to start by saying that we always have choice. Even when it feels like we don't, we do. We always have choice, and that choice is a moment-to-moment thing. I'm not talking about the bigger picture stuff. I'm talking about we do have choice along the way, and we need to recognize where those choices are. So everything comes back down to our core values. If you know and you're aware of what your core values are, your core beliefs are, the things underlying that make you you, that are representative of you, the qualities that are representative of you, whenever you're stuck with uncertainty and not knowing what direction to go in and not knowing what choice to make, it needs to come back to your core values. So these are things like, and it's going to be different for everyone, and these are going to change over time, and they're very fluid. Core values are fluid and can change, through our life transitions. They can change before we get married, and they can change after we get married. They can be different before we have children. They can be different again after we have children. They can be different before a divorce, and they can be different after a divorce, and they can be different before a diagnosis, and they can be different after a diagnosis. And our core values are allowed to shift and change, and the order of priority of our core values is allowed to shift and change. Sometimes we can be a bit rigid, and we feel that things have to stay the same because we've always been that way. So, we don't allow ourselves the flexibility of changing and making choices moment to moment because we get a little bit too rigid. But our underlying core values are things like, and it's again different for everybody, but is it connection? Is it community? Is it a feeling of security? Is it financial security? Is it emotional security? Is it authenticity? Is money one of our core values? Is health one of our core values? Is fitness one of our core values? Is a feeling of control one of our core values? It's different exercises that you can do that will allow you to find what your own core values are. But even when it comes to making decisions around whether or not to get the chemotherapy or to go a more alternative route, or whether it is to get the vaccine or not to get the vaccine, we need to know that we have to have a reason for why we would or we should, or we have to have a good reason why we shouldn't. If we don't have a good reason, everything becomes a really hard decision. Everything becomes a really overwhelming decision. And, I've had many people recently that have been so adamantly anti-vax that have actually changed their whole stance altogether recently, and have gone off and got a vaccine and felt really, really good about the decision that they've made, and felt really empowered about the decision that they've made, because they have recognized that the reason they've made it is maybe for their family or for their community, or maybe they've recognized that they do have, if choice is important to them, that they do have a choice in the matter. They can choose which vaccine they get. They can choose when they get it. They can choose how they look after and support their body before, during, and after. And that's been really, really important to them, because one of their core values might be choice, or the power of choice. Yeah, it's different in every circumstance, but I just wanted to bring the attention and the focus back again to the choices that we have in every moment, and to be reminded that we always do have choice. And when we know what our core values are, we can feel good about the choices that we make. And if you are faced with some challenging decisions right now, if you are faced with a challenging diagnosis and you're really lost and confused in that, one of the ways that I work with people is helping them to connect with their core values, and helping them to make the decisions that are right for them, which makes things so much easier. So I just wanted to leave you with that to have a little think about. If there's anything about this that really resonates with you, or if you feel like there's someone that might want to have a little listen, please make sure you share it, pass it along, share the love. Stay healthy, stay vital, people. I'll chat to you next time. Bye.